our group member with Chapter 1, Science. What is science? Science is knowledge based on observation and experimentation. It is a branch of science that studies natural phenomena and their law. It is different from art and technology. Science answers the questions of why a phenomena occurs, while technology answers the question of how to solve it. By observing the surrounding nature, there will be a sense of questioning, a sense of curiosity as to why a phenomenon occurs. Science method. The scientific method is a careful observation process or testing process which is carried out on a new hypothesis or theory that explains a natural phenomenon. 5 steps in the scientific method. First, a question why that arouses curiosity. Second, propose a hypothesis. Third, conducting experiment or observation. Fourth, analyze the test result. If the result of the test hypothesis that the hypothesis accept. If not, then the initial hypothesis is rejected. 5. If the hypothesis is accepted, then what is a theory and law? Induction and deduction. Induction. Islamic scientists pioneered the induction method, which became the basis for formulating a scientific theory. Scientific law and theories are obtained through the method in induction. From observation and test result, we will obtain general conclusion. For example, some metal expand when heated. For deduction, the principle of the deduction method is reasoning from the general to the particular. From a general conclusion, we can already accept that will happen when an experiment is carried out. A test result will usually follow some law and theory or general conclusion. Expectation must always be consistent with general conclusion. For example, the general conclusion is that all metal expand when heated. Expectedly, all type of metal will expand when heated. Truth of science. The truth in science is not absolute true, not 100% true. Science explanation is not a complete explanation. Scientific theory does not last long because sooner or later it will be refined by a better theory. A scientific theory is considered true as long as it is useful and can logically explain a phenomena. The journey to find a true or better explanation is a very interesting adventure. Science is like a never-ending story. For introduction and knowledge, according to Al-Atas, there are 2 types of knowledge, namely knowledge and identification and knowledge. Science is a knowledge. Knowledge is from the root word know. Knowledge of identification is from the root word kenal, which is recognize. What is the difference between know and introduction and knowledge? Getting to know is when the self-possessed person introduce himself to those who want to know him. To know is external, outward, or visible only. The self-purpose cannot communicate about himself to those who want to know him. Science is knowledge. Science only know the external, outward, and visible. Science only know the phenomena of something. That thing is reality we call announcement. Reality that is impossible to know. Science can only know the phenomena or appearance of a thing, what appear to us, what we can observe. The thing as is the reality of the thing we cannot know. Science is only able to perceive what is external, while the true nature of something is not possible for us to reach except for those who are given knowledge by God. So that knowledge is a science that know about the external or appearance only. Between scientists and the object they study, there are hijab, curtains, wall will that prevent us from knowing the true nature of the object being studied. Characteristic of science. First, reductionism. The simplicity of phenomena is reduced to a mathematical formula. Understanding reductism explain a phenomenon X by using theory Y, which is considered high status. The development of Newton's science has encouraged scientists to explain phenomena in the field of chemistry and bio by using the theory of physics, because the field of physics has forgot previous successes and can explain many mysteries in science. Second, repeatability. In science, everyone can repeat a similar experiments and get the same result. This is called repeatability. Lastly, refutation. Science might have experiments that allow everyone to repeat it, either to support or rarely it. If a medical practitioner claims to have found a cure for H1N1 diseases, then other scientists can repeat the experiment. The way to prove the claim is by experiment. Assumption in science. The first is the understanding of materialism, which believe that what is in this world is only matter. They do not believe in the existence of spirit, ghosts, jinns, and all things that are not matter. Feelings through dreams and all matter phenomena are chemical processes and reaction in the brain. Feeling sad or happy is because of a certain condition in the brain. The second assumption is causality. According to Hans Rich Branch, is a philosopher of science does not believe in the law of cause and effect. There will be no science if we do not believe in causality. There will be no science. Science has to explain why or what is the cause or cause of a natural phenomena. Because of the H1N1 virus, the result is flu. Because of the Aedes mosquito, the result is EDQ fever. The third is uncertainty. As has been discussed, because that science is knowledge who nature is vague and clear, knowing only the appearance. What is certain in science is uncertainty. It is impossible to know everything about anything, but it is always possible to know more about anything. Science no longer seeks perfect accuracy and omniscience, only better accuracy and more knowledge. Advantage and limitation of science method. First, based on observations and experiment, logicals. Second, repeatables and objective, and anybody can repeat the same experiments and get the same result. Third, self-recording. If the result of experiment hypothesis, we can modify the hypothesis. For limitation, first, the problem of induction, making a general conclusion from a limited number of observation, so science is not observed true. Second, reductionism, treat science like a math equation. Lastly, result of experiment depends on technicals and instrument. Lastly, science of paradigm. First, paradigm is a pattern of thinking. Second, science paradigm, the integral constellation of belief, value, technical, and so on, shared by the members of a given scientific community. Chapter 2, History of Science.
Here we have 5 subtopics in this topic, which are concept of history, Aristotelian science, scientific revolution, new time worldview, and new science, and lastly the Islamic science. First, I will start this topic with the concept of history. Mankind has always been curious about the nature and origin of the universe, with prehistoric observation linking observation to prediction. The history of science is often seen as a linear story of progress, but historians have shown that it is more complex. Science is a human activity with contribution from people from various backgrounds and cultures. It is increasingly seen as part of a global history of exchange, conflict, and collaboration. The relationship between science and religion has been characterized by conflict, harmony, complexity, and mutual independence. Historians emphasize the importance of trust in scientific claims, with the Royal Society and its code of experiment being crucial. The first people to develop the theory behind observation were the Greeks, who focused on mathematical views and logical methods. They also developed materials like gunpowder, soap, and paper independently. However, it wasn't until the 13th century that much of the scientific work was brought together in Europe universities and it started to look more like science today. Progress was relatively slow at first, but it was sometimes due to religious dogma or troubled times. Next, I will continue this topic with Aristotelian science. Aristotelian science is integrated and in line with Christian teachings. In Aristotle's understanding of science, all things have a hierarchy. Nature, according to Aristotle, is divided into two spheres, namely the sublunary environment and the superlunary environment. The sublunary environment is between the Earth and Moon, but not including Moon. There are four basic elements in the sublunary environment, which are earth, water, air, and fire. These elements have their own natural properties. Earth and water are known as heavy elements. This heavy nature move towards the center of environment, which is the center of the earth. Hence, the order is first in the ground, earth, then water, air, and above all is the flame, which is under the sphere of the moon. The superlunary environment is something that is mystery. The substance of the moon, suns, planets, and stars is still unknown. Next, I will continue with Science Revolution. The scientific revolution that took place in 1500 was an important episode in the history of Western science, in which Aristotle's science was replaced with Newton's science. Classical science or old science that holds to the geocentric understanding was replaced by a new science that is highly contradictory with the geocentric cosmos system by Aristotle. In heliocentric system, the sun is the center of the universe. The earth rotates on its own axis around the sun. Based on Galileo's evidence from his telescope, first, moon is not made of either. Its surface is rocky like earth, not smooth and perfect. Secondly, four moons orbiting Jupiter, so earth not the single center of rotation in the universe. Next, sunspot or dark spot on the sun. This shows that the superlunar region is not perfect. Next, we go further with Newton's worldview and new science. For the Western conflict between Western and science, Aristotle's science aligns with Christian teachings by challenging Aristotle. Science challenges Christian teaching. Galileo's view on the gospel is correct for church rituals, but not scientifically, making it unacceptable. But in the matter of science, the gospel cannot be accepted as true. If there is a conflict between the gospel and scientific discoveries, then the wrong is not the content of the Bible, not the misunderstanding or misinterpretation of verse in the gospel itself. Next, word is no longer contempt and the collapse of hierarchy. There is no center and no edges. There is no low and no high. There is no hell and no heaven. Everything is same. The position of the kings is not higher than the servant. Next, the watchmaker god, which Aristotle's understanding of God was rejected, leading to a shift in understanding God as a watchmaker, creating and moving the world. This shift suggests that God has exhausted his power, becoming a retired engineer. Lastly, of this part is Newton's science. Newton's principal mathematics introduced a new physics science for Earth's movement based on decades of research by scholars like Descartes, Kepler, and Galileo. Newton's laws of motion and universal gravitation become dominant scientific viewpoints, eradicating doubt about the solar system heliocentricity. Last point of this topic is Islamic science. Western scholars argue that modern science is inherited from Greek science, with Islam being the successors and transmitter of Greek heritage to Europe. Islamic science has made correction, expansions, and new application from the legacy of Greek science, allowing for an open perspective towards knowledge. This process has transformed science into a new phase with Islamic views. Problemy and Greek mathematician and astronomer was translated into Arabic by Yusuf al-Hajjaj and Abu Yahya al-Batrik, resulting in the creation of astronomical observation in Baghdad, Cairo, Maragha, Samarkand, and Istanbul. The translation of Greek science into Arabic was the first stage of knowledge transfer, allowed by proof based on experiments and observation. The Almagest was translated into Arabic 5 times from the 8th to the 9th century, and Islamic astronomers made corrections and criticism, producing new version of the Almagest. Astronomy is used in astrology to see the future, and the Islamization of Greek science eliminated superstitious and magical element. Islamic science have developed post-typical schedule for determining prayer times using mathematical model proven by observation at the observatory.
Today, I will present about epistemology and knowledge definition. Epistemology is a theory of knowledge. It is a branch of philosophy that studies nature, sources, and limitation and validity of knowledge. Whereas knowledge is a fact, information and skill acquired through experience or education, either theoretical or practical. In Islam, knowledge is from sign alamat that allows something to be known. Thunder is a sign of a rainy day. With the earlier sign, we gain knowledge knowing when it rains. This is what it means by knowledge arising from signs. Like man walking in a desert, rocks, trees, and stars are signs that will save him from getting lost and die in the desert. Such is our journey in the world. Without knowledge, we will lose our way and lose our heart. The world is like a book. Next, we'll explain about knowledge according to Muslim scholars. Al-Qadi Abdul Al-Jabbar says once, knowledge is the meaning al-makna that makes the soul of the learned feeling content after having acquired it. Imam Al-Ghazali said, knowledge is husul al-mithal fi al-qab, that is, the attainment of actual description or representation in the heart. Al-Jubai Abu Ali and Al-Jubai Abu Hashim said, knowledge as a conviction etiquette of something that they learn, believe to be real and correspondent with reality. Ibn Sina once said, Ibn Sina, who speaks of knowledge as the understanding of discernment of something, or in Arabic, idrak al-shay, which is actually the reality of reflecting or representing itself in the intelligence. Next, meaning of the first definition, knowledge is the arrival or wusul of oneself at the meaning of something. In the first state, that self is actively studying, observing, thinking, doing research about the object of study. Meaning of the second definition, knowledge is the arrival or husul of the meaning of something into the self. The meaning of something will be given by God to the person who studies it. Al-Attas divided knowledge into two bases, husul and wusul. Success required effort, but effort is not guarantee of success. The effort is human affairs, where success are God affairs. Next, I will explain about 4 sources and methods of knowledge. First, sound sense or panca indera. Panca indera is from the word panca, which means 5 sense. The sense consists of external sense and internal sense. The external sense to make external observation to the object of study are sight, smell, hear, taste, and touch. The school of thought that address to the sense as the only source of knowledge is empiricism. According to Hugh Talat Halman, in association with the external senses is the internal sense, namely al-his mustarak, the common sense, al-khayaliyah, the representation, al-wahmiyah, the estimation, al-hafizah and al-zakirah, the retention, recollection, and al-mutakhayilah, the imagination. Internal sense are the link between external sense in reasoning. According to Imam Ghazali, the inner sense are in certain part of the brain. Next, I will explain about definition of true knowledge or limit of truth. According to Al-Attas, knowledge is limitless because the object of knowledge are without limit. But there is a limit of truth in every object of knowledge, so that the pursuit of true knowledge is not an endless search. Knowledge is limitless because the object of knowledge are without limit. Knowledge is unlimited because everything around us can become knowledge. all God's creation in this universe can be knowledge. If you want to write down God's knowledge across the 7 oceans, then you will run out of ink. Nor will you run out of knowledge itself. It is not possible to learn all the knowledge within the short span of life of age. Knowledge is not limited while age is limited. Therefore, we have to limit the knowledge to be learned. Imam Al-Ghazali limited the knowledge that should be learned to 2, namely Fardu Ain knowledge and Fardu Kifayah knowledge. Fardu Ain is religious knowledge that all Muslims must learn, while Fardu Kifayah is learned by a certain group according to their respective tendencies, such as mathematics, computers, and so on. That's all from me. Thank you.
Now I would like to proceed to chapter 4 entitled Branches of Philosophy. Philosophy have 4 branches which are ontology, epistemology, zoology and logic. Now I would like to proceed with the first one, branches of philosophy, which is ontology, or better known as metaphysics. What is metaphysics? Metaphysics addresses philosophical questions about being and reality. It examines who are we and our place in existence. Literally, the terms of metaphysics mean beyond the physicals. Metaphysics seeks to answer questions about material world. For example, what is real, what is the origins of the world, and what is beyond the star. A fundamental creation of constant in metaphysics is the concepts of the stone. The considerations of reality as an external creation or an internal construct can be influenced the metaphysical belief and perspective. The second branch is epistemology. Epistemology addresses philosophical questions about knowledge. It is a study of and seeks to answer how we gain knowledge and establish concepts like truth. Here, philosophers address questions such as the limitations of logic, how the comprehension works, and the ability of perceptions to visit. In short, the questions of epistemology is how do we know? Do we decide what is true, or is the truth of regardless if whether we accept it or not? Epistemology examines whether we are born knowing certain things, or are we a blank state. The tabula rasa, according to the philosopher John Locke, and progressively gain knowledge. Okay, next we go through the third branch of philosophy, which is zoology. Zoology addresses the branch of philosophy that considers the study of value and valuations. These values are divided into 2 main kinds, which are ethics and aesthetic. Ethics is the study of value in human behavior, or the study of moral problems. As example, the rightness and the wrongness of action. The kinds of things which are good and desirable, and where the action are blameworthy or praiseworthy. While aesthetic is the study of the value in the arts, or inquiry into feelings, judgment, standard of beauty and related concept. The last branch of philosophy is logic. Logic addresses philosophical questions about reason and argumentations. It's much like metaphysics. Understanding logic helps philosophers to understand and appreciate how we perceive the rest of our works. More than that, it provides a foundation for which to build and interpret arguments and analysis. Precisely, formal logic tries to universalize how we form belief and check those arguments for validity and truth. Now I would like to conclude about philosophy. To sum up, the philosophy of science is concerned with the all assumption, foundation, method, implications of science, and with the use and merit of science. It also can be seen that science and philosophy are related to each other. Without philosophy, science cannot be improved. Science helps to increase the world's technology, and philosophy helps to develop the worldwide system.
That's all from us. Thank you.